And welcome back to Horrifically Well Read, Bled, and Said. We are so excited to welcome back RJ Joseph, the 2026 Bram Stoker Award winner for short fiction, to talk about her amazing collection coming out, My Monsters Ain't Like Yours, July 15th from Quill and Crow. Welcome back.
Thank you all so much. I was so excited to come back and talk with y'all. Y'all are so much fun.
We loved having you the first time. We're so
Yes.
glad to have you back again. Congratulations.
First and foremost, like,
Super cool.
so I don't know if I've ever been more excited for someone. I was
Yes.
watching the
Yeah.
live
Thank
stream of the
you.
award show, and I just started screaming,
Pretty
like,
much.
yeah, so what was that
Thank
moment
you.
like?
Oh my gosh, it still is so surreal. Like, you're sitting there and you know that you have a chance at winning, but then they call your name and you just kinda go like,
Do
I
your
literally
legs, like,
remember
buckle
just
below
going
you? Like,
right, right, and I'm sitting here, like, I sit here with it on my desk right here at home right now because I keep looking at it and touching it, and I'm like, "It's real. It's really here. It's
you deserve
mine. It's
it.
got my name on it." Thank you. Thank you so much.
I have to say, looking at it, it's one of the coolest looking awards that you can get too, right?
It really is, like, I have examined this thing, like, from every corner, and it is a literal piece of art. Like, it is artwork. It's something that, that I totally would love for to be gracing my shelves. I mean,
Yeah.
Mhm.
all the
Well,
details in it.
So, like, when class is back in, will you be, like, bringing it with you?
Well, okay, so funny story. I bought years ago. I went to a book signing at this little cute little bookstore out in the country ways that had like these little, tchotchkes and little figurines and things, right? And so I'm the person that goes in your store and says, "Is your decor for sale?" And so they're like, "Well, sure." So there's this little birdhouse. I'm pretty sure it's an iron birdhouse, but it looked a lot like a haunted house to me. So I bought it and I put it in my office at work, and I said, "This is where I'm gonna put the Stoker whenever I win one." And so
Amazing. Well, you
now
claimed that.
yes, so when I go back to campus, because right now I'm teaching online for the summer, but when I go back on campus, I am going to take it and put it in its spot.
Love that.
amazing.
Love that. Like, listen to that. You want something, you put it out there, you
Yes,
seen that. Love
you
that. Awesome.
manifest it and it can
Yes.
happen. Yes.
Yes.
Well, it was so funny when I was reading this collection. There was multiple stories that I was like, if this doesn't win the Stoker Award next year, I'm gonna be so mad. So you won it like even before the collection came out. Like,
I know.
how amazing is that? Like,
Well, it's funny because I know we're gonna get into each of the stories or a lot of them,
mhm.
and I know that, we were writing back and forth in DM of just how messed up some of the like, in the best way, but there's one that it's just not the one that like, that was great, but it's the
the
for me, the one that I just keep randomly thinking about, which
the
keeps
opening day, right? The one in the college with no, okay.
no, it's the Dress for Success.
Oh,
Like, the section I don't know what
yeah,
the
that
page
is. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's the opening day when she goes
Is
into
that it?
the yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay, I was like, okay, I couldn't remember the name of
Mhm.
the title,
No,
but
that's yeah,
it keeps coming like, this is so sick,
yeah.
and it's wonderful, and it's
That's
wonderful.
one of those. It's really based on very loosely on a thing that really happened.
Really?
Really, some of the stories, there's this one little thing that happens, and I just go off on this tangent. But my
Love it.
daughter and I, so one of my daughters goes to the college where I teach. And one morning we got to campus earlier than usual. So it's cold. There's hardly anybody, not anybody in our hallway. And we get off the elevator and we see this mannequin at the end of the hall holding this red balloon. And both of us literally stopped in our tracks and were like, no, this does not sound good.
I've
And then
seen
I
this movie.
remembered and then I remembered the email that said they were opening the wardrobe there on campus for the students, and I thought, "Okay, that's the only thing that got us to actually walk to my office because we were terrified." That
Well,
thing was and it stayed there for, like, a week or so, while they were announcing where the closet was, because the closet was kinda on that other hallway, but I every time we got off the elevator, we were like, "Oh, no." That first time, we almost did not
I
go
can't believe
over.
that, right? So, 2 things I wanna comment on that. One is, we do obviously want you to, tee up the short story collection, but the artwork on this cover, I think that some of us in a private message, not you, but saying like, "This is the most gorgeous cover.
Yeah.
We would
It
love to wear it.
is.
Like,
Mm,
we want the shirts, we want the
Oh my
the
gosh,
yes.
whole aesthetic."
yeah. Yeah, well, Faye Lane did that, and when I was talking to her about it, like, I'm one of those goobers that's like, you ask me about art and I kinda go, "I don't know, it's pretty, I don't know," and so I didn't have very, very fruitful suggestions for that, but she just kinda took what I would say, the little bit I did say, and she ran with it. That thing is gorgeous. Like,
It is.
I don't know if Quill and Crow is planning on having merch with the cover on it, but I really hope they do because I would wear that. I want to
I
wear
will.
that.
We
Yeah, I
we
want to
need to
wear
pester
that
it
and
together.
carry it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, pester yes, because it's gorgeous.
well, at the very least, I wanna add the cover to our wall. It's
Yeah.
so beautiful to look at.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
It really is, but also the whole time and again, this will lead into how you, tee up the book and share, your short story collection, but my monsters ain't like yours. After I'm done reading, I'm like, her brain really is not like anybody else's. Like, really not it's such like, just that specific story we're saying, it's like, it's so unassuming of like, "Wow, okay, wow, I did not see it going there," and it's so fun, and so, is that where the my monsters ain't like yours, kinda like my brain or the things that hunt me and, like, haunt me are like yours? I mean, where does this come from?
Well, it is. It's a kind of an ironic title, right? So it's like, yeah, my monsters are mine and your monsters are yours, but when I say they're not like mine, they are very personal, but they're still monsters. So it's kind of an ironic title where it's like, yeah, they're not like mine, but they're still monsters, and so we're all very haunted anyway in our own
Yeah, I
ways.
get that, and it's like, but,
Yeah.
what haunts me or my private experiences or things like that are gonna be different.
Yep.
But also, I think it fits really well to anyone who's considering reading the collection or purchasing it. Your brain works very differently. The way
Yes.
you see monsters and interpret scenarios,
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's funny because a lot of the monsters are sort of like, there's familiarness to them, like, "Oh, this is vampire-like, this is zombie-like, this is everything,"
Uh-huh,
but
uh-huh.
nothing is like anything
anything.
that you've really read before, and that is just so amazing. I have to say, like, between these 2 collections that you are my favorite short story writer, uh, working right
That's so
now, like,
sweet,
I
thank
just
you.
am obsessed.
Yeah,
Like,
and I have a terrible confession. I'm sorry to
you hate short
I
stories most of the
hate
time.
short stories. I
It's
don't know
not
what it
your
is. Like,
yeah.
it is a stupid thing. I have to think that it relates to I don't they make me feel claustrophobic. I don't even know how that's possible,
Mm.
right?
Well,
When I'm like,
I get that. That actually makes a lot of sense because 'cause they're
"Okay, well,
so
maybe you can help me
cont
figure out why I feel that way because it's
well, they're so
weird."
contained, like, they're literally contained in just that world, and
Yeah,
that's all there is, so I can
and
kinda
I
see that.
yeah, and I just so I was like, "I am not gonna not read her collection." You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I was like, "I'm gonna force myself to read." Well, it wasn't hard. It was not
No.
hard. It was not, and I didn't feel claustrophobic. I felt more like, "Holy shit, I can't wait to get the next one and the next one." So, yeah, I don't know what that is about me, but you have given me hope that I can
Mhm.
start to read them and enjoy them.
You, then I've done my job
Yeah.
because they do tend to be a pretty acquired taste. I mean, I love them. I love a good short story collection or an anthology. Like I just devour these things. But I do understand that everybody, it's just not everybody's cup of
I
tea.
well, I think I have to change my perspective because I I didn't realize that, Nat Cassidy's book, was short stories as well, but we had
Mhm.
gotten it on NetGalley, and, if you have NetGalley, you have to keep it above a certain percentage, and so I was like
Mhm.
and I hadn't read Rest Stop, so I got to read like, basically, it's, the
Novella,
majority of the
yeah.
book is the novella of that, right? But I didn't realize there were other short stories within there, and so that was probably at
Nice.
the like, more like February or whatever, and I was like, "Okay, okay, like, maybe that wasn't so bad because it was, like, half book, half short stories, and
Sure, sure.
I actually liked them a lot, and Adam's like, "Oh, I have those already." Like, we have the little pamphlets but I guess he had
A
more than
chapbook.
Uh-huh.
but then after reading yours, I was like, "Okay, I have to stop saying this. I have to
Mhm.
figure out why I feel like this because I'm withholding myself from"
Yeah,
and I
really.
read your other ones too, and so I'm like, I'm at the point where I'm like, "Okay, I gotta make this change in myself because I'm
Yeah.
holding it." And I think some of it truly comes from, and I promise I'll stop talking about me, but is like, sometimes it's like, I just want more, and I think I feel sad that they end.
Maybe.
I
I
think
can
that's a
see
big
that
part
too.
of it, is
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
it feels like a tease, and then I'm like, "Son of a bitch," like, I wanted that to go on longer, and it's done.
Yeah, maybe. Because for me, I think what I do like about them is they are done, when they're
Yeah,
done.
see, okay,
Yeah,
see,
yeah, so then I
it's
get to go
therapy
do another
session
thing. Yes,
on
then I
how
get
to
to do
enjoy a
another
short
one,
story.
and then another
Well,
one, and then another one, and then another
yeah.
one, right?
It kind of almost feels like when I'm reading a short story collection, I almost look at it similar as like an album, right? Like
Yeah,
by like
Oh,
an artist that you love, that it's like, there's these little, songs, and it's like that's the way it is with the story. And it's like you get to the meat, it's like I love especially your stories because I feel like there's always, like, a point to each one of them, like, there's something
yeah,
that's being said in each one, and it's like and that's what it does. It goes into what it wants to talk about, and then it's out, and it's like and I think that novels and, longer fiction, stuff like that serve a great purpose too, but
sure.
like, your stories, I think that they allow for the amount of creativity. I feel like maybe
yes.
short stories sometimes allow for more experimentation
I
because
think
Oh,
they,
so.
yeah.
and whatnot. So,
So
um,
it does come down to who's writing it, how well they wield that craft,
that is true.
because I maybe that's some of it too, is like in the past, I feel like I felt like some of these are funky, but that's why I didn't feel like that with you, because I was like, these are brilliant.
I
They're
wonder if it's maybe too because short stories are so often you think about like maybe classes that you had to take where you read short stories and you didn't
Yeah,
there is
maybe.
some kind of a demand avoidance happening here with yeah, I know that.
Rose for Emily PTSD maybe so like so, but so there's 25 stories in this collection, not a single miss within that 25 stories.
Thank
I
you.
always am very interested, in collections because obviously you kind of put together what you want to be in this collection. How did this one come together with these specific stories?
So, this one came together, it was kind of an accident, right? I was supposed to be working on a nonfiction book proposal, right, for with my agent. Not even the one that sold, right? This is a whole different
Really?
one, right? Yeah, no, these things are happening by accident, right? And so
Man, that's cool. That's really cool.
so I have all these stories, right? And I'm kind of looking at them and I'm pulling them apart and I'm going, "Wait a minute. I have this number of stories that actually thematically fit this thing. Why would I not go to my agent and say, "Hey, I have this theme, I have this title, these all fit. Can we go out with this?" And she, oh my gosh, bless her. She is so awesome. Natasha just goes, "Okay." And then she just takes off running with it. But really what happened was I had the stories, they were kind of just sitting around and I was like, "Hey, you need to do something with these." And I wasn't willing to send each one of them out, like the new ones
Right.
out. I was like, "That's too much. Can we just send them out once at one time and just do a book?"
That's awesome.
I was like, "We could do that."
Yeah. How long had some of these been sitting around when there's this many collection, and and how does what's the process of like, does a story just pop in your head, and then you just like put it down and and archive it until it's time to like
Yeah, that's really close to what I do. So one of these stories was a reprint, I wanna say from probably about 2020, 2021, maybe, and I just didn't think that it fit that first collection. It just didn't fit. It just didn't feel right. I didn't like it right there. I think that was probably there was probably one holdover like that. The other ones were more recently published things, but really, I literally will write a story if it's not for something. If I'm just writing a story, I'll just write it and I'll put it to the side, and then I'll write the next thing, put it to the side. Once I get enough of them that actually fit a common theme, well, then I start to kind of pull the collection together. Like, so right now I haven't written well, I've only written a couple of short stories for, like, anthologies where I was
Mhm.
invited to, but, like, I don't have anything that's kinda on deck right now, which is, kinda strange, but that's because I'm working on a book and a
Yeah.
book proposal, right? Yeah, so I'm like, I actually have to do something else. I gotta leave these stories alone for a second.
and this is the nonfiction book?
This is the nonfiction book, uh-huh.
Okay. What can you give us an idea what the topic is?
Yeah, sure. So it's about Black women in horror films.
Mhm.
So
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
when
So
I
Oh,
it's an
saw
ex
that
it's
announcement, I was like, "Oh, man."
oh,
Yes, yes. I'm excited. I'm excited because we don't have anything like it. Like, you send out your I was talking to the publisher, Amanda Mann over at Creature. And you never wanna say, "There's nothing like my book." Like, you just don't wanna be that person, but we literally I knew that there was nothing like it, but I didn't want to say this to her. I'm thinking she hears this all the time, but she actually did the research herself. She went and asked some librarian friends of her own, and they told her, "Nothing like this exists. That would be a good project." So, it was really good to be
amazing.
validated in that kind of way, without being that person, because I never wanna be the writer that, publishers go, She actually said to me, there's nothing else like this." Not that Amanda would have done that, but I don't wanna be that person, right?
Well,
It
look,
just so
if it
happens in
existed,
this
I'd be reading it, so,
Yeah.
Exactly, right?
Right,
Well, I
right.
mean, shout out to Creature. They're always picking up the coolest projects,
Yeah.
and
They do. I love Creature. Yes,
I
oh my
do
gosh, they
yes.
do.
It's interesting because when we were recording for your episode, Haley Newland was talking about the book for the was it this that she and Renee Thomason, the Scream,
Yeah, the one
and there's
about
a lot of stuff
mhm.
like that, but to know that, like, again,
Scream of
there's
Genius.
just
Yeah.
significant underrepresentation for this. It sounds like not only will it be a very necessary project needs to be done, but it feels like it's maybe for yourself, but, like, for others too that I mean, that why do we
Yeah.
have to wait so long for something like this, you know? And that's really, I think, gonna be a great gem to the entire community to
Mhm.
have a piece like this.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, well, I mean, and shout out to the publishers who are taking these kinds of things on. I mean, like we say, Creature, we have Quill and Crow doing all this gothic stuff. I mean, like
Absolutely.
it's these smaller publishing houses that are really, really hitting it when it
Driving
comes
it.
to
Mhm.
bringing us things that we really want as readers, right? Like I'm excited
It
about that.
it feels good to me because again, this is my opinion, I don't know, so just take it for what it's worth, but at the end of the day, like, book writing is an art, but at the end of the day, when you're working with larger places and probably in some aspects, you have to make some financial decisions or, it comes out to what's the audience, even if you're a bookstore trying to decide, like, what should I stock and
Mhm.
curate. But I love that these smaller publishers get a little bit more of that ability to, like, make those gutsy decisions and the art,
Yes.
and still follow that versus if there's some kind of I heard years ago, it's like when you make a really good recipe and it's great, and then you take it to someone to manufacture, it becomes a formula. It changes
Mhm.
from
Yeah.
a recipe to a formula. And it's like, feel like the smaller publishers keep it as the recipe, right? It's in their
Yes. Oh, I
content.
like that. That's a really good analogy. I love that. Y'all are full of great analogies. I mean, I love this. This you
Thank
do this
you.
so well.
I said, like, my brain only thinks in pictures and analogies, I think. So
Yeah, well, it's funny too because, this summer, the big talk is about, 2 independent or, like, small budgeted horror films
mm,
doing really well,
Yes, yes.
and we know in 2 or 3 years, we're gonna get a bunch of big budget, terrible versions of
Right.
the movies that now. And I think that, in many ways, it's not always that way, obviously, but I think it kind of works similarly in publishing. It's probably just the pipeline takes a lot longer.
Yeah.
But, books like yours and like, I think that there is this really beautiful, like, horror nonfiction renaissance that's happening
Mhm.
right
Oh,
now
I
that,
think so. Yes. Yeah, there's
I'm
so
really
much to
excited for
say.
Momo Shadi's, like, whole
Yes,
series
yes.
of books that are coming out. The book that you referenced, Eleanor Johnson's Scream with Me, Why I Love Horror, like, all these things, so I think that that's something that we'll probably see down the line more, but I love, like, these books are so obviously, the authors, and yourself, I'm sure this is a subject that is so close to you
Yeah,
that you
for
really
sure.
want to sort of come out there because I think that so many people think, Black women, the representation in horror films started 5 years ago or something, you know what I mean? Where
Right.
people think that this is such a, like, recent thing, and so I'm really excited to see, like, where that book goes and what you're gonna include in it because I can't wait to learn from
there's
you.
there's nobody better to take us to class.
That's what I'm saying, Professor Joe us around, so,
Mhm.
definitely love that, and I love one of the things in this collection that I really love, and I think maybe will be touched on in that book too, is that the characters in your short story collection, and I think that horror in general, especially women in horror, like, characters are generally considered are seen historically as, like, victims, right? These things are
Mhm,
happening
mhm.
to them. Your collection doesn't do that, doesn't play that. A lot of times, if they're not perpetuating the horror,
Yes.
they respond to attacks or fear, not with, like, giving up, but with anger, with, like, "Hell no,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take this." And I absolutely love that and just want you to kinda talk about that in the collection.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that being a woman of a seasoned age has kinda taught me. Like, I realized that we of Generation X, I'm not sure if you all are Gen X or not, but
Xennials.
Gen X
We're right
Yeah,
there.
we're on the
We're
cusp.
right there.
sometimes we're
Yeah.
the elder millennial, we're always the
Mhm.
Xennial. Yeah, but, like, I think growing up with someone that I had a brother that was Gen X, I feel
Mhm.
like I fall in
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
you're
Yes.
subjected to that. So wait,
yeah,
please go on, yes.
yeah.
Yes, but absolutely, we have had to fight for everything. Like, we were literally feral. I mean, I laugh at all the memes and all the things that forget about us because I go, "Yeah, that really was true, though." Like, we were latchkey kids. I mean, we could not if something happened at our house, right? Like, when before my mama got home, there was no wilting like a delicate flower. There was no call somebody. There was, "You better figure it out because mama won't be home for a couple of hours or so. Even if you call her, she can't get here while this thing is happening." And so I think that a part of that is in watching horror films. Like, I remember watching, being enamored with the black and white ones, and there's this one movie, and I can always forget the name of it, but it had this huge tree. A witch doctor turned into a tree in this movie, and there was a lady who was a doctor. And I remember watching this movie and thinking the dumbest thing to me was, "She's a doctor. She's so smart. Why would she just fall and wilt
Mm.
into this thing?" I mean, like, she should have been able to fight. She knew what to do. So, a lot of times when I'm writing, I'm really trying to push back against that whole thing. Like, this is not we're not the ladies, if you will. Like, no, we are those feral creatures that you better not mess with because you will get bitten right on the toe, and it will stay with you. You'll catch some terrible disease from us, and you will wither and die, but we won't.
That's a promise, right? It's a
Yes,
guarantee. Yeah,
it's a promise.
absolutely. It's interesting even with your Gen X thing, it's like even with working in marketing, it's like it's the, like, least focused on generation. It's like it's always
Yeah,
forgotten. It's like
we
the
are.
one that, like, when you look at buyer behavior for that, it's so different. It's very cool, but I feel like I have to wonder who were writing those scenes. Was it a man writing those before that they anticipated that a woman would just do those things? Because
Sure.
I think if you're a woman, you're not feeling like that.
Well, but if you're a woman, you probably aren't in the room to be able to write it at that point,
Yeah, I'm
especially with the
saying so
black and white stuff. No,
that's
no, no,
it.
no. We're
So
talking
I'm so
40s, 50s. Nah,
I'm thrilled that you're actually showing what a real aspect of a woman of how they would fight back and they wouldn't just
sure.
that is great.
Yeah, absolutely, and, you kinda touched on it a second ago too, but it's also there are some stories with, like, younger characters, but this very much feels like grown-up horror, right? And,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
the horror comes
Yeah.
from not just, monsters and things, but domestic relationships, from
Yes.
marriage, from jobs, from, all of these things that we really
Yes.
have to worry about, and like, even, like, for instance, I love the story where, she's just driving and she's trying to get away from a car because Final Destination 2 traumatized all of us.
Yes.
And
Yes.
basically, you're kind of thinking about all these different things like, "Ah, I don't want anything to happen because then my damn husband's gonna yell at me about this and all that." And then, like, absolute merciless horror just creeps into it. So I love
Yes.
that, like, and, sometimes I think we talk about that where we're like, you never know when something's gonna happen, and it might not be some horrific creature, but that's you kinda touch on that way of life of, like, things happen so fast, and everything went
Yes. Oh, they
from
do?
mundane to horrific, and,
Yes.
that so many stories do that
I was
so
just gonna
well.
say, I think that's like
Yeah.
her signature. It's like you start out we used to watch when we years and years ago when we would watch The Wire, and we would see that George Pelecanos was the writer for that as it began.
For each episode for
Adam would be like,
episode.
"Oh, we're about to get fucked up here." And I feel like that's what if you see a story from RJ, you just gotta know it's gonna start out like this, and then you're about to get fucked up,
Yeah.
and in the best possible way.
It's
Oh,
like
I love that. I love that so much. Oh my gosh, I love that.
You're like, "Okay, this sounds pretty normal.
mhm.
Sounds pretty normal." And Nelson's like, "That is not normal at all. It's so good." And I never could think
Speaking
about how you're gonna get there. Like, that's the thing.
speaking of the collector,
Lordy,
Speaking
oh,
of,
lordy,
that story, I have to say, like, there was
nothing like it.
there from sentence to sentence, I was like, "What is going to happen
what
next?"
is
And I was
happening
always
here?
wrong in the best possible way, and, like, just one of those stories that, like, will never leave me,
Nope,
and,
nope.
it's funny because, a lot of these stories center around education, but not necessarily, like, the classroom, you know what I mean?
Yes,
Uh,
yes,
it's sort of
yes.
like we talk about that, like, as a teacher, your job, one, never ends,
Right,
and, like, you have stories that kinda go into that, but it really is this just sort of like you meet people there, there's people that you never would like, in most jobs, you kind of don't get exposed to, like, such a large different, population.
right.
It kinda goes into that you never know what's happening in someone else's house, right?
Son of a
Yeah.
bitch.
Oh, you never know. Like that is, I mean, and again, these stories come from bits and pieces of things that happen. And when I was finishing up my undergrad, I was a much older student. And so I did meet a little guy there at the parking lot who was saying all these weird things. And I'm just looking at him thinking, son, first of all, I'm married, okay, first of all. But second of all, if you only knew what was going on inside of my head, you would not think that what you're saying is so edgy.
Yeah.
And so that's where that story came from. It's like if he could have even seen a part of that, he would
God,
have run away from me so fast. I mean, I wanted him to run away, but I don't know that it
God.
would have worked out, right?
It is like the true Uno reverse. Like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
Right.
no, motherfucker, like, you think you're getting me?" It's like, "Actually, you picked the wrong girl."
I just love that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it, like, goes into the whole, like, manosphere, mansplaining. It's like,
Right,
you don't
right.
know what horror is. It's like, "Oh,
Exactly, exactly. Let me show you that.
My God, it
I"
was it was like I'll tell you what, if don't skip it either. Go through each of the stories,
yeah.
wait till you get there. And that's what I'm saying, the collector was so amazing, but for me, also the opening day, I don't know why I think that that was like when I said I think in pictures and stuff, that lives truly rent free in my brain, like the story of
Mhm.
walking through. The collector, I try to suppress a little bit, just a little bit.
Well, it's funny because speaking of Obsession, have you seen Obsession yet?
I haven't yet. No, my
Oh,
daughter
okay.
says it's really good though, so I gotta go see it.
It has some very interesting I would be very interested to hear your takes on it because it has a lot of
Yeah.
really, interesting things from, like, the women's horror perspective. I actually found it to be a really, really good, but really sad movie. But you
Okay.
have a story that kind of brings in Baba Yaga and the monkey's paw, and I have to
Yes,
say that,
yes.
like, it very much, reminded me of some of the themes of Obsession too,
Yeah.
and I think that is just, like, a really brilliant story, and, like, you do some things in that with all of that that is really new, so I'm just wondering, like, obviously, you can see in all of your stories that you are so well-read and researched and all of those things,
Thank you.
so, you think about the story is 20, 25 pages, and it has, like, a million different things that, obviously go into it, so especially that story, like, where it's just sort of, like, modern day, like, witch along with all these other kinds of things, like, where did that come from?
Well, it came from, as many things do these days, middle age, right? Like you kinda start to reassess what you want.
Mm,
And I think that so many of my friends and I, we sit around and we kinda go, "Oh, well, maybe it'd be cool to have this, or maybe it'd be cool to have that." None of us are wishing for what the lady in that story wished for, though, which I find it kind of funny because
yeah,
I don't know if it's because we know that it wouldn't be great anyway,
mm,
or if it's that there's so many other things to want. And
yeah,
I think that what drew me to write the story was that whole idea of we're not asking for this. Is it because we know better than this character, or is it because we learn a lesson from this character, right?
mm.
It's kinda which came first, the chicken or the egg, but it is very much loosely based on the monkey's paw or any kind of deal that you make with the devil, right? Like, you gotta know that something might not quite go the way you want it to go.
Right,
I
absolutely, and I love that the first time he came on and now this time that we always make sure to touch on perimenopausal middle of, like,
Yes,
fall
yes,
sleep, and I'm
it's
like,
yes,
"It is," it's like, this is the intersection of where I wanna talk about stuff,
well, I
so
love even that she's kinda in the
yeah,
story herself, she's kinda like, "I don't even know if I really do want that, you know, but okay, let's," you
right,
know.
right.
So, it's just funny because it's like, you know, it it really is that, point where it's just like, "Okay, I want this," and I just love the fact that, she does wish for her husband to want to spend more time with her, and be there, and then she's like, almost immediately, it's like, "What the fuck are you looking at? Like, what do you want?"
Exactly!
And I
"Why
was
are
like,
you
"That's
here?
not a
Why are you
long-term
breathing?"
marriage."
Exactly. Exactly, exactly. I mean, you think you want that, but these are things we have to think about at this age. Like we're looking down the barrel of retirement, a lot of us,
Mhm.
right? And so, what is that going to look like? Like, are you going to be retired and at home? Are you going to be there looking at each other? Is one going to retire? The other going to keep working? Are you going to have enough activities to keep you kind of busy? These are things that I think that at this point in life we're all kind of thinking about.
Yeah, definitely, and, when you think about retirement and stuff, you think about, "Am I gonna travel? Am I gonna be able to travel? Will I have the money for it?" Which leads us to
Exactly.
I never have wanted to get on a cruise, and now you cemented even more so why I would never want to get on one, so thank
absolutely,
you very much.
absolutely.
You're welcome. It's what I do. You're
Are
It's
you
welcome.
what I live for.
was there a bad experience? Are you similarly like, "I don't wanna do that?"
Well, so we have actually gone on several cruises. We actually took our kids on a couple because mostly we settled on cruises because we have an adult disabled daughter. And just trying to fly her anywhere, I can't even, there is not enough medicine in the world for me and for her and
Yeah,
the stewardesses for us to fly her anywhere. So a cruise ship, it's already accessible. It already includes everything for the other kids. We can take the whole family. My mama can go, and so we've done that, but each time I go, I notice how gaudy it is, I guess, and I think that that's where that story came from was like these we got on one ship and there were these little glass blobs that were just covering everything, and I know that it was part of the decor, but I thought it was so weird. I was like,
yeah.
"Why would you do that, and why would you pay somebody money to do that?" Like,
Yeah,
what happened here?
in this episode of Who's Actually Paying This Designer?
You know what I mean? And so I was like, I wonder is there maybe a different story to the gloves? Like maybe there's something to this that I'm just missing and I'm just not able to appreciate it. But it was so gaudy, it was so loud, it was so
Yeah,
showy, it was
yeah,
not very relaxing
yeah,
in certain ways until you go into your cabin. Now, once I was able to get into the cabin, go to the balcony, I was much more relaxed. But in the outside, it's like there's noise and there's smells and there's people and there's stuff to touch and there's stuff touching
yeah,
you. And it was just way too much
yeah.
input for
Yep.
me. It was just way
I'm
too much.
I'm gonna go back to the claustrophobia, yeah,
Well,
situation for me.
that is a real thing. That's why
And
we
so when you're
always
like,
get
"Oh,
a balcony room.
I'm like, "There's no safety here because I don't wanna be in the room." Okay. And then out on the deck and everything, I'm overly stimulated,
Mhm.
right?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
shut up, it's too much, it's too like, I remember even as a kid being, like, 6, 7, 8 years old at a water park, always forced to go, and looking at how many people's wet feet are standing in this same
See,
tub. Look at
okay,
how
see
many people are in there. How many people didn't shower this morning? Like, the
exactly,
brain was working over on the cruise
exactly.
ship, and, like look, I think it was was it with Kara Making Fleischer we were talking about the cruise
I
stuff
think
too,
so,
and
yeah.
I'm like, this is at least the 2nd or 3rd episode where we're like, "No cruises."
Yeah.
Yes,
But, I mean, they're
no,
ripe for a horror story. I mean, they're ripe for the
they
norovirus and
are,
all that. I mean, think about,
they
like, the
are.
hantavirus, just oh my
Well, and you're in the middle of the ocean. I mean, so we always get a balcony room because I can't do the interior.
right,
I gotta be able
right.
to see outside and get
Yeah,
outside if I need to. But there are moments, especially on that first day that we sail, that I'm dealing with the anxiety. There's just a lot of anxiety about being there, being locked up.
Mm.
It's a closed circuit, but then at the same time, it's like, oh my gosh, I have to take a couple of days to kind of regroup before I'm actually able to
to
enjoy even
enjoy.
inside of my room. But they are very, very overly stimulating. They really
Yeah,
are. So
yeah.
yeah, if you're that person, it's not a good thing to
Thank
do
you,
at
I
all.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
really not.
I think about, like, you're essentially, like, taking a vacation on a giant sideways skyscraper, right?
Sure.
It's like a laid down skyscraper. All I think about is, like, Sideways stories from Wayside School, like,
Yes.
you feel like, "Oh, wait," it's like, "And let's just, float that thing on the ocean and hang out for a week or 2."
Right.
No.
Right. And
So,
you just
yeah.
assume that it's gonna float. See, that's the thing. We're
Yeah.
just gonna assume that it's gonna stay afloat. And yeah, sure. Why?
I thought you were gonna say a vacation with, like, 4,000 of your closest friends,
No.
because 'cause I'm like, that's part of it for me too.
But it's funny because, like,
Yeah.
I love an all-inclusive resort, which
I
is, like, the
do.
same thing, but
Right.
it's not moving.
I do, and I
Right.
get a lot of choice, right?
Yeah.
I can go
Sure.
from but I do get that way with the food though.
Yeah,
I'm
that is
like,
true.
"Damn it, there's no
Claustrophobic.
choice." Yeah.
You got, like, your 5 choices, which, you think
No,
is awesome, but yeah, so
no, they have so much food, you
yeah,
can't
no,
say that.
that's
I
true.
just and that's funny because when we were at our most recent one,
Mhm.
Adam's like, "I'm gonna try all of this. I'm
Oh
gonna try
god.
everything because like, when we were in Jamaica, you were like, you followed around, like, as native because a lot of times, like, they offer, like, they'll
Just
open up the
yeah.
resort for, like, native people to come
Yes,
in,
yes, uh-huh.
and so he was
I
like
just followed them at every buffet and was like, "What are you getting?"
Yes,
That too.
exactly. That's
yes,
the best
it's
way to do it. You
it
get
Yeah.
was
all the
and you
best
had the best
stuff.
time,
Oh, amazing.
Yes, you
but what
get all
happened to
the
you in
best stuff.
Dominican?
Yeah, in Dominican, so I was doing similar things. I was like, "If I don't know what it is, I'm getting it, like, I'm gonna check it out."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I got one thing and it was meat, but it was in this, like, really, like, heavy almost like a soup with, like, the meat placed in the middle of it and
Uh-huh,
everything, and
uh-huh.
I'm like, "Okay." So I'm eating it, it's good, and then I turn it over, and I'm realizing that is a foot. That is
Oh,
an actual foot of I'm thinking a pig, but,
It was
like,
a
okay.
knuckle.
yeah, it was like a knuckle, and I'm thinking, like,
Oh, it was pig
"Okay,"
knuckle
like, if
soup.
I had known
Okay.
that yeah, if I had
Yeah,
known that's what it was, I would've been okay.
All
It
of a
was the
sudden
sure.
surprise factor.
all of a sudden,
The surprise.
the meat
Yeah, at least you tried it, cause yeah, no,
The
yeah,
sauce was
that's
amazing, I'll tell
the
you.
You eat
This
so
surprise
much
is
really
good
don't
is
yeah.
stuff though
terrible.
at all the places anyway,
Mhm.
completely look, if you don't think it's the end of the year
Well, and that leads into the next story I wanna talk to, so thank you, that's perfect. So, one thing that I also really love is when I'm on vacation or when I'm anywhere, and it sounds like it kinda works that way for you too, that you never know when inspiration's gonna strike or when something's gonna sort of,
Right,
like, come into your head, but there's always those moments when you're at the beach or you're at an amusement park or something, and you're seeing something that you're like, "Where are these people's parents? Like, what is going
right,
on? Like, what is
right.
happening here?" And you're like, "Do I say something? Do I not?" And so some of the
Yes,
little children, I'm like,
yes.
maybe it's not the right message or what you wanted to attend, but I'm like, "I'm gonna mind my fucking business from this point
Oh, yeah.
on."
Yep.
There's part of it. Yes, there is part of it. But of course, I mean, again, being Southern, I am
Mhm,
the Southern grandma. I mean, I am the abuela now. And when you see babies without sweaters on or without warm clothes and it's chilly out, the one thing you always want to say is, "Where's that baby's coat? Where's
mhm.
that baby's clothes?"
You
So
better cover that baby's ears.
you need to cover that baby's ears, cover that baby's feet, the baby needs socks on. So it is yeah, that is one of the points is sometimes we probably should mind our business. We might find ourselves, in those kind of situations as the lady there. But I think that's somewhat of a when you're community minded, I
Mhm.
guess, and your focus is community, that sometimes you're willing to give people a little bit of grace, right? Like, especially if you see, because I used to be that woman who was out with my 3 little kids or 4 kids, and then sometimes I'd have my other 3 god babies with me, and I'm the only grown up, and so, when people want to really help, that's a great thing, but when people are being nosy, that's a whole other thing.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, I mean, she ended up in the place where she needed to be, but she was
Yes.
being very nosy.
Also, maybe sometimes take the hint, like, if somebody's like, "You don't wanna be here," maybe you don't wanna be there,
Maybe
kind
you don't wanna be there.
which I love that. Yeah, so that yeah, definitely agree with it, but it also kind of brings into, as an elementary school teacher, you find yourself in those positions also where it's just very much
Yes,
like, they're going out for recess, it's 36 degrees, and they have on, like, a long sleeve T-shirt, and
absolutely.
you're just, "What is happening?" So, like,
Yes.
I love that there's that, like, mentality of just like, "Okay, let's
Okay.
let's let's stick together, let's figure some things out." So,
I hear that
Yeah.
also having kids
mm,
that
sometimes they're like, "This is what I'm wearing," and you go, "Guess that's what you're wearing then." You
yeah,
Yes,
step
fine.
around
because
and find out today.
they'll be like,
Okay.
"I'm so hot today." You're like, "You see it snowing out
Yeah.
there," and it's like, look, our oldest daughter, God love her, we eventually got to the point where we were like, "Okay, the thermometer between this level and this level, we agree that you're wearing," because she'd be like, "I'm so hot,"
Mhm.
and I'm like, "You cannot be like, you can't do that."
I don't know if you ever read the Boondocks, the comic.
Yes, yes,
So, one of my favorite ever, because I think the Sunday ones was always, like, a just one big giant panel, and it was,
uh-huh.
like, the characters at the bus stop, and the main characters we're all bundled up and freezing and cold, and there's a little white boy in shorts and a t-shirt, just, like,
Yes,
as
yes.
happy as can be, and I'm like, "That is just, like, the way that it is." I'm like, "What?" And, like, they'll have a vest on, and I'm like, "What is the vest doing?" I'm like, "Well, if your trunk is warm, then the rest of you is okay." I'm
You
like, "You can't feel your fingers. What are you talking
Oh
about?"
my god. Is that where that comes from that you're always like, "If your trunk is warm?"
It was, actually, I think it was what is it, the Telluride? Like, there's some, like, comedy festival in Colorado, and it was actually I think it was Sinbad that was talking about
Okay.
seeing all these
Yeah,
locals that
yeah.
have on, like, short sleeve shirts and that, and they were like, "Oh, that's okay, as long as your core is warm, you'll be fine." And, like, it doesn't work for me, I'm sorry, I'm
It
from
doesn't
Tennessee,
it
and I don't
doesn't work
like,
for me
I'm used
either,
to more
but
warm.
no, if I cover my feet though, for it's as crazy as it is, if I cover my feet, the rest of my body can be warm. I just that whole core thing doesn't work. I guess my
Mhm,
heat escapes through my feet.
mhm.
I don't know.
Well, I just wanted to
Heat
share.
rises, right? So you gotta get the bottom and then the
It's
heat
true,
rise,
it's
but
I
true.
guess so.
I was gonna say for that story that you were writing about minding your business this morning, I was reading that locally at one of the beaches, parents of 4 kids left their baby on the blanket while they took the other 3 for a
mm,
stroll for, like, 45 minutes, and people actually did report, and they actually got, like, and the amount of comments where people are like, "I don't even take my ID down there." Like, I'm
mm,
worried to leave my flip-flops alone and let alone, like,
Exactly.
let the
yeah,
baby sleep in the and the amount
A
of people that are
whole
like, "No,
baby?
one parent takes the kid, the other one stays behind." But yeah, they just
Yes.
thought it was, like, okay to, like, "Oh, let's let this baby sleep." And I'm like, l in my head,
No.
I'm going, "Okay, I realize that, like, you've done this now your 4th time and, but anything can happen. Anybody could pick this
Anything could
up."
happen.
And I just
they need to stop lying, they forgot that baby, they forgot that
That
baby.
something
must have
else,
been what
but I'm
something
sitting here as we're
happened.
talking to you, I'm like, "RJ could really do something with that story."
Yeah, oh my gosh, see, you're saying that, and of course, my wheels are turning,
Yeah,
and
I'm
I'm
just like,
thinking, "What
"What is
happens
that?"
when the baby's not there anymore? What happens
The baby could
then?"
have been swapped out with someone
Yeah,
else or
Yes, a changeling, what happened? Oh my gosh. Okay, that might end up being a story, y'all, because that's crazy to me. That is so crazy.
isn't that just a level of like, it's crazy because I was saying to my best friend, I'm like, her siblings and my siblings, we all have very different parenting practices, and what they're like, her siblings are willing to, like, let their kids do, it's like it's, like, way too laissez-faire, like, way too,
mhm,
and it's same thing with one of mine,
mhm,
where they're like, they see
stressful,
us as a
yeah.
helicopter, and I'm like, "No, uh, if the child burns their hand in a fire, I'm not willing for that lesson to be learned,"
Exactly,
or,
not
like,
like that. No,
yeah, and she was like, "Yeah, she's was a lifeguard, she's like, "It's very rare that, like, kids come back from drowning, like, no, I'm not gonna just let I'm not
I'm
gonna
not gonna
swim
test
at
it.
the other end of the pool while my 3 and 4-year-old
No.
practices in the shower, like." And she's like,
Oh, no.
"What?" I have and it's just these expectations or, levels of comfort with parents. It was like she was like, "I
Yeah.
was so ready for my sister to go because she was stressing me the fuck out."
Mm,
Like, I had to watch her
Yeah,
kids and
yeah.
my kids because she was, like, asking my 9-year-old, she said, to, like, teach her 3-year-old how to swim, and she's like, "If she" or
No.
4-year-old, she's like, "If she pulls her down, my 9" like, they're not a good enough swimmer, so, yeah, it's just one of those things where other people's comfort level of what they're willing
Yeah.
to do, so, in the story that you're talking about, it's like, I think in and you said in the spirit of community, like, for the most part, like, sometimes I think you do need that older person to be like, "What the hell are you thinking? Why did you guys
Sometimes,
sleep
yes.
in with a jacket on, and yet this baby's in with a onesie?" Like, we need to
Exactly. There's
and
something wrong with that. There's something totally wrong with that.
and how do you sometimes learn, it might be like, mind your business, but at the same time, like, maybe you do need a little bit of, like, a community scolding to be
I
like, "You
think
need to be
so.
acting right."
Well, if shame will work, I mean, I think that that should be the thing. Let's try it because
Let's try it.
there's too much that happens to babies when people are just being negligent.
Yeah.
Like
That's it.
I had a girlfriend who was like that and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I know what you're doing with the kid. It's okay. Let me just take the kids because you're not half watching them. You're not
Yeah, I
paying
can't relax
attention.
here.
I
Like,
can't relax at all."
and to me, when people are like, "Oh, let's go to the beach for vacation," I'm like, "If I have anyone that I love in the water, I can't sit and read the book,
No.
okay? I
No.
gotta be watching."
No, especially when they're little kids. Oh no, not at all.
Mm,
And even if
mm-mm.
they're big kids, I still watch
That's
my
what I'm
big
saying, I'm
kids
like,
like
we're
that.
getting to stand right next to we're
No,
getting a spot
not
next to the lifeguard.
Right when they're at that, like, 10, 11, 12, and they think they could do
Yeah.
I feel like
yes, yes.
that is the most stressful time in a human being's
So
parent's life.
stressful. I remember those
My
days.
god.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know what else
No.
is really stressful?
What?
When you tell me that you can't swim, and then you go, "I'll walk 'em out into the ocean. It'll be fine with me."
No,
I don't
When I tell
go
you you can't
further
swim, you're like,
than
"I'm fine." And I'm like, "No, no, 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 because I don't
no,
wanna go
let's
in."
not.
bro,
No,
when
let's
you
not.
say
Let's not.
into the ocean, I mean, like, my weight. I don't
That's
go
where you
far,
get
yeah.
knocked down.
So, yeah,
You know,
I can throw them pretty far, so
Oh,
that's
again, this is why I'm not
terrifying.
relaxing, right?
okay, see how it is. So let's move on here is what we're saying. So I wanna talk about the Stoker Award-winning story, Inheritance.
Oh,
So
yes.
this is just an amazing story. It fully deserved to win. It really is. It's like a novel in a short story.
Yes.
Like, it
Thank
spans such
you.
a, period of time. It really gets into a lot of complex things about family relationships and sort of like
Yes.
generational trauma and like what you
Yes.
owe past generations. And
Absolutely.
also just like I think a lot of people probably have that feeling of like the people that I get close to end up hurt or I hurt them and things like that. So you're
Right.
dealing with a lot of things here that are really like deep and amazing and just wondering where that kind of the origin of that story came from.
So I think a part of the story came from having a character in my head that just wanted more. Like
Mm,
she wanted to do more, but she's from this small town. And I have a lot of relatives who still live in the small town, like where we all were born. And so sometimes there's this comfort level with people that want to stay, but then there's these other people who are like, I don't want to stay here. I want to go do something different. They don't really have the same value of the family spaces, that some people do. And so I wanted for this character to not only understand that it's okay to want more, but to realize that all of these things come with a cost, with some kind of a something that you'll have to pay, right? And I really like the idea of being responsible for your own family, whether they are alive or dead. That is kind of where that comes from. It's like you need to have this responsibility, you need to have this understanding that family is family, that just kinda is it, and so I wanted her to have a way that she could go and experience these other things because her uncle he had gone to see things and do other things, but
yeah.
he also took care of his responsibilities, and so I wanted her to see and understand that sometimes there are better things than just having a relationship, especially with terrible people.
Mhm.
Like, you don't have to do that. You
Yeah.
can be single and you can enjoy someone's company, and then that can be the end of that.
Mhm.
I think that some of that is because I always raise my kids to let them know that there's no shame in being alone as
Yeah.
so much as there is a kind of problem being with a problematic person, though, just to say
Put
that
that
you
on a
have
sticker.
somebody. Yeah, just to
Put
say
that
you
on a
got
shirt.
somebody. So, so
If more
that was
people were comfortable with that, I think there'd be so much less in domestic violence,
of
and
course, of
so much more
course.
men would be evaluating why am I not able to get someone,
Well, of
and she's
course,
a
and I'm hoping that that's what's happening
Think
because I'm
so,
seeing
yeah.
this resurgence of people who are dating,
Yep.
who are saying, "I'm not dating to marry." Like, I'm
Yes.
not dating to marry, I'm dating to date, and
Yes.
I love to see that because sometimes you gotta learn who you are first before
Yes.
you can even start to put that on somebody else and get into a
Yes.
relationship anyway. So, I
Yes.
mean, why not spend a few years dating, learning about yourself, learning to see what's in the world before you decide to settle down, if ever?
I like too that you don't necessarily, thinking about my friend Nanette that I always talk about here on the pod, but like she's at that place where it's like I think she's gotten to the point where it's like, okay, if I don't marry, I know I have a great group of girlfriends. I have a great family. I have all these things. And it's
Yes,
like
yes.
we're creating family and community
Mhm.
outside of
Yes,
relationships, and that is
yes.
who we're growing old with, and those are the things we're doing, and that's so wonderful to me,
I
Yeah.
love that. Yes, I love that. That is so amazing. But
and
I
just
mean,
that
and when
she's
you
like, I don't, because recently, like, she stopped with a man, and she was like, "It's messy, like, he's too messy, it's too
Mhm.
complicated, I'm not doing those things again." And I'm like, "Good for you," because
Yeah,
that means that I feel like we're doing our job as her community of love and support, that she's like, "I'm loved, I'm held, I'm
exactly.
valued," and
Exactly.
and I think that having that anchor as well as just knowing, like, you don't have to go about the way that society says that you have to do those things.
Right. No, right, you don't. I mean, and when you think about what is it that you're looking for in this other person anyway? Are you looking for them to save you? Are you looking to them for a companionship? Like, are these things that you can't get any other way?
Right,
Are you looking
right.
for, are you looking to marry to help pay your bills? I mean,
Mhm.
if you have all this straightened out, you kind of don't have to worry about any of those things.
It is, and I'm always fascinated by, like, how the tables always turn, like, when men are younger, it's like they don't wanna be held down, but then once they're in
Right,
their, like,
right.
50s, 60s, 70s, it's like, they don't at least the boomer generation,
Right.
they
That
want
generation.
they will remarry after their spouse dies so quickly because they don't know what to do, how to cook anything,
Right,
how to do it, and it's like
right,
this learned helplessness,
The
it's
men,
the
yes.
men, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
and all the women are like,
I'm good.
I don't need you. I don't need a baby."
right. That's my mama. That sounds like, oh my gosh, my mama will be 77 next in a couple of months. And she's always talking about the old men. She says,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to those old men. And I'm kind of looking at her, I'm like, Mama, well, how old are the old men that you're talking about? And then she's like, oh, he's got to be 80 something. He's just looking for a nurse. And I'm like, okay. You're right. I mean, she is in very good health. She travels, she moves around and does all the stuff she wants to do. So I don't blame her for not wanting to go be somebody's nurse. Like, why would you sign up for
Yeah.
that?
And at any age, though, of
Yeah.
knowing that you could be
Right.
comfortable because especially, like, when I think about, like, in the early 20s, there's a lot of pressure that you see people are they start having babies early, they're like, "Oh, we got together, we're married, we're getting a house," and you can oftentimes, I think, feel left behind, and I know that traditionally, the marrying age is older now, and even the age
Yeah.
to start and have kids, or even people saying, "We don't want to have children," that's
Right.
changing too, which is great, but it still can be really hard because there's a large portion of the country that just is going to continue with those norms and value systems because it's what's been passed
Sure.
down through inheritance of value systems.
Exactly. I mean, and if it works for everybody, cool. Like, it's not me downing on relationships at all. If that's working for everybody, that's
I mean,
wonderful.
I hope to
But if
grow
it's
with you,
not,
Adam. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying it
yeah,
has to be with
yeah.
someone that
Well, I think that's what it is the sort of like and it might be like the Judeo-Christian, like, viewpoints of man and woman that, like,
yes.
there's sort of
Yeah.
this, like, thing of, like, the woman is the helper, and I think
Sure,
that,
sure.
like, damages so many relationships, and I love that you kind of
Yes, I
explore that in
agree.
a few different things here where it's like, if it's not give and take, and if you're not making if the man's not making the woman better and, it's only the woman putting in the work, then she's better off alone, you know
Bounce.
what I mean?
Sure.
Get out of
Yep.
here.
I love
Get
that, and
out.
yeah,
Deuces.
the other
Let's
thing
go.
that I love in inheritance is that, like, you kinda talk about it where it's like, it is a heavy responsibility, but
Yes.
that doesn't make it bad or
Right.
wrong, right? Sometimes the things that are worth it the most aren't easy,
That's true.
and I
That's
love
so
that.
Exactly.
true. That is so true. And we need things like that that really I think about it as like here's my next analogy for you. This is where my brain goes like this. the levels of sandpaper, right? You have, like, heavier
Yes.
grit and finer grit, and we use different experiences to really shape us and
Yeah.
file these rough edges and parts
Mhm.
down, and
I love it. It is another good one.
but for
I
me,
swear
some of the
y'all are
things that
good
I
at
would
this.
never yeah, some of the things I would have never wanted to go through, if I didn't go through those things, I wouldn't be able to enjoy the next things, but it
Yep.
sucks. You don't know
Right.
that when you're doing that, right? And so,
Mhm.
Right.
yeah, but I love, some of these things are just you have a lot of rich lessons. I think you
Yeah.
can enjoy your books just or, each story for how just fun and scary it is, but also everything is as deep as you want it to be with just how rich, like,
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah,
that's
nice.
my
Thank
take
you.
a drink every time I say that
Every
now.
time you say that, yeah,
I
but
can't
it's
help
true.
it, but I love
That's
that.
well, that's what the beauty of horror, right?
It
Like,
is.
it
Yes.
is a very emotional, like, genre, a lot of times, but I love the way that it also is extremely both cerebral and, marries those 2 things in a really cool way.
I can't
And
get over how much horror helps me to deal with inherited traumas and passed down
Yeah.
of things and just looking at, just the biggest thing I think that horror has done, and obviously I have a degree in sociology, so like I've always been fascinated by people patterns, behaviors, and things, but just looking at how, we're supposed to do certain things and how you were saying like these people, it's like you're especially in the town that like we live in, there are so many people that have multiple generations that
mhm.
have
Yes.
that
Everyone's got a road named
I was
after their
just gonna
family,
say
yeah.
that, yes, and it's like and I didn't want to stay here, but this is where I ended up, and so I felt like there was a lot of connection for that of just like,
Yeah.
I have to be here, but I don't really want to be here. It's like, was there other is there I say that down all the time. Is there another version of me that lives in another part of the country that never got to experience and have those things? But just processing of like, okay, there is a cost if you're leaving because a lot of people would like to have what I have, where it's like, oh, well,
Sure.
you're close to your parents. And I'm like, yes,
Exactly.
I am. But that also means I'm immediately the one that's called upon all the time. Which is like, it's a benefit, but it's also like I never felt like I really got to spread my wings and go out and live. So anyway, but the
Sure.
point is like the story I think really hits some areas of things that allowed me to heal and even just like what is the American dream? That it
Mhm.
really is bullshit. And when you
Right,
look
right.
at that through the lens of horror, it exposes it to say,
Yes.
you're always meant to want, you're always meant to work. You're always and it's just like when you look at some of these things, it's like, oh, and I just felt like that helped me to like quell some of these
Mhm.
things that I think were instilled from,
Sure.
each generation down to say like, it's okay if I don't want these things. What if I
It's
don't want to
okay.
be a homeowner forever? I don't have to be, you know? I don't have to go about things. So anyway, I just like that horror is always willing to
Mhm.
like, but there's so many stories that have that. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, and
Yes.
this
I love
collection
it.
definitely brings that home and I think is a really special book. And I really am excited for everyone to read. I can't wait to hear everyone's favorite stories.
yeah,
So,
which ones do you have a favorite?
Do have a favorite. My favorite is, of course, probably the craziest one. Sad Spooky Sally is my favorite.
Is
Yeah,
it?
it is my favorite, because of that community mind.
mhm,
In my mind, I feel like the babies are supposed to always be taken care of,
yep,
so whatever has to happen for the babies to be cared for just has to happen.
I love that.
Ends justify the means.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yep.
So, I know you've got some appearances coming up at different places, right?
Yeah, yeah, so I will be at Creepaway Camp in a couple of weeks, which I don't
Hey,
know.
that looks
It
amazing.
does look
Yeah.
amazing.
I know, but I'm just like, I don't know. I saw, Brian McCauley, his post earlier today, and he's like, "Yeah, a bunch of horror writers in the woods. What could possibly go wrong?" And I'm thinking, "Oh, what did I
Yeah,
sign up
yep,
for
yep,
here?"
yep.
And
Something
then
great could happen too. I'm gonna envision that a good anthology or short story collection is gonna
Oh,
come out of this.
absolutely.
you can best believe that I'm gonna be looking into the woods for
Mhm.
whatever's there.
I
If there's
love
something there, I will yeah, we will find it.
Look, you just gotta be faster than one other person, right? When you're in the wo
I mean, or, you could try to reason with the creature depending on what
That's
it
true.
is, right? Let's try to bribery or I'm not above
Hey,
bribery. I'm not.
Like
I'm
what
that
the
one
like the
that'll
Daisy story, right? You might say,
Yes, I will totally make a deal and be like, "Listen, I can help you though."
"Look, hey, trust me. I will bring you whoever you need. Who are you looking for?"
Exactly, exactly. Let me join the
Oh my
team,
god.
right?
Listen, I know somebody. I can make a deal. I love it.
Exactly.
And are you gonna be back at Spooktastic and what, are you at Haunt the Readers too?
We'll be at Haunt the Readers.
I'll see
Yay!
you
That's
there.
right in our neck of the woods, so
Yes, yes, I will be there. Unfortunately, I won't be at Spooktastic.
okay.
I do hate that, but I do hope to be back next year when the next iteration comes up. But I
Yes.
will be at Haunt the Readers, and
Oh,
so
okay, good.
that'll
So
be
we'll
a
see
great
you
time.
there.
Yep, it will
Yes.
they're in our hometown pretty much.
Excellent. Yes,
Yeah.
I'll be so happy to see y'all again.
Yeah, it's
At
a
our haunted brewery.
yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And there's a lot of great stuff that had happened in that area. I
Mhm.
hope that you'll be very
Yeah.
inspired.
There's
Yes.
a lot of energy. I mean, because 'cause I've been there already and I've
Yeah, because you were
already
there in January?
Yeah, I was there in the other January, the past
Yeah,
January. So
I'm
yes,
sorry.
this one,
yes.
there
Yes, yeah.
was a storm.
I
But
remember I was like,
yeah,
"Man," I was like, "I hope she's pulling out," because I was like, "She's coming from Texas." I was like,
yeah,
"Dang."
no,
Yes.
I could not chance that at all.
There
But
was only, like, 36 inches or something being called for. It
Yeah,
wasn't that
exactly.
much. Yeah,
yeah,
that was
no,
terrible.
no, that I don't know nothing about no snow, and I wanna keep it that way.
And listen, I'm not it is very mountainous where
Yeah.
we're driving. I'm like, I'm not driving 20 minutes to get
Yeah,
there to
exactly.
No,
in
So
this, so
no.
but no, that'll be great to see you there, and, it's really interesting for Haunt the Readers. It's, thriller and horror, so that'll
Yeah,
be an
yeah, it's
interesting
gonna be
are you
really
looking
exciting.
yeah, is that anything that you think you're gonna make new connections, or what are you looking forward to?
I'm just a fan. I'm just a fangirl, so I just wanna read everybody's books.
Right, right, I
I
know.
love to read thrillers. I don't write them, but I love to read them. So
Yes.
people that can, they get my hats off to them, and I would totally read what they have.
Yeah, I've already started, like, I did already read Marcus how do you say it? Clywer?
Cliver,
Clywer,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I read that one.
caretaker,
I
the
read Megan Lawley's because they're gonna be there too, but
Yes,
I
uh-huh.
need to look at, like, the full list of who's gonna be
yeah.
there
Yeah,
and
yeah.
start huh?
Get our books together
That's
for
it.
Yeah,
yeah.
get your
Yep.
books together. Yes, yes,
Mhm.
get them
And we're
together.
gonna I can't wait to get a picture with you and get a
Yes.
signing with you. It'd
Yes,
be
Mhm.
awesome.
absolutely, yes, it's gonna be so much fun.
Very nice.
Wonderful. So, all the success to you for this collection. Congratulations once again.
Thank
So
you
well
so much.
deserved,
Y'all are
and
sweet. Thank you.
can't wait, hopefully, have you back on to talk about this awesome nonfiction book that you have
Sure,
coming.
Please.
yes.
I
I
cannot
will
Oh,
wait.
gladly come back and we can do this again.
I
Oh,
need an academic I need a
yeah,
TED Talk
I love it.
like you
Yes,
wouldn't believe. I love it.
love it.
Thank you
So,
so much. Always a pleasure.
yes, have a good
All
night.
right. Bye bye.